What's good, everybody? I'm tired. I just woke up. We about to get right into the. Is that how? Oh man, I look crusty too. Hang on, give me one. Oh, woo. Hey, I needed that. I'm energized now. Okay, let's get right into the James Harden video. So as we all know, James Harden is one of the league's most elite players. He is supremely efficient as shown from last season, but coming into this season, he's not playing too well. James Harden had a hamstring injury, which for his career is his biggest injury to date because he's always been an Iron Man for the most part. So before I say what I say about James Harden, I want to preface it with context. Context on this channel is key because him not having the best of health right now is impacting his play on court. But at the same time, it must be said that the rule changes are impacting James Harden's game. What makes James Harden such an intriguing player to me is his ability to get to the rim and get those calls no matter what type of action he's able to do. But something that also has to be talked about before we move on is I do feel like there is a sense of the refs trying to double down on this rule to where they're kind of being biased against Harden for doing what he does and not calling fouls when he's actually getting fouled. I think for the referees, when it comes down to it, they're trying to implement these new physicality rules. And because of all of that, they're looking at James Harden as a clear guy that's taken advantage of these rules in the past. So they're having bias to where if he actually gets fouled, they're not calling it because they still see him doing the regular foul baiting things. And I think for them, they want to see him stop doing that in order to give him more calls. From a fan perspective, I don't necessarily enjoy what James Harden does because a lot of times it makes him impossible to guard because he's so good at getting to the free throw line off of really selling and exaggerating contact. I'm not mad at him as a basketball player for doing what he's doing. It just wasn't that enjoyable to watch. But just because that in one breath can be true does not mean that I'm going to then take my personal perspective into account when evaluating James Harden's game. In this season, James Harden is averaging 18.7 points per game on 37% from the field, 35.6% from three on 7.5 attempts, and on 88% from the free throw line on 5.7 free throws a game, so roughly 6. If we're comparing his numbers from last season, his true shooting is down. He shot 61.8% last year. He's now shooting 53.9. His offensive rating is down from 117.2 to 99.8. His net rating is from a positive 2.9 to a negative 5.7. Currently in the league, he's third in turnover totals and he's 7th in turnovers per game. So what does that mean? What that means is James Harden is not healthy. From the games that I have been able to watch, what's important to note is James Harden is a rhythm player. I'm going to say that again. James Harden is a rhythm player. What that means is his game is predicated on getting himself into a rhythm, typically with his handle and his movement on the court. What would restrict that handle and that movement on the court? It would be his hamstring injury. So because of that, to start the season, he has not looked aggressive in his dribble drive game. A big component of what makes James Harden so effective is getting to the paint and creating for others off of the dribble drive penetration. He's had some games where he's only attacked the basket 5 straight times. And I firmly believe that because of his lack of mobility and confidence in his body to do what he does, that is a big part of why he's struggling. But at the same time, let's get to the free throw changes. This year in the NBA, there have been new free throw changes that have been added to make the game free-flowing and a bit more physical. And James Harden is a player for his career that has been known to take advantage of the rules in place, which I'm not mad at because at the end of the day, as a basketball player, you do what you can do in your best ability to impact your team winning. And he's done that. But this year, they're just not calling it. He's doing a lot of foul baiting, and they're not giving him the same calls that he's used to. So it has been a rough adjustment. But at the same time, if his body is not physically able to have the same burst it normally does because of his hamstring, and his brain is not confident yet, right, it makes sense why he's struggling so much and not getting as many free throws as he did normally. I waited to make this video primarily because I wanted to see a bigger sample size of his games before talking about James Harden. Officially, it's been 6 games, and he had his best game against the Indiana Pacers. He had 29 points. He shot 5 for 11 from the field. He had 19 free throw attempts. Of those 19, he made 16. And he made 3 3-pointers. I believe he shot 50% from 3. So this game does not really tell me much, because if you notice, he only made 5 field goals. So he's still trying to get his actual shot rhythm and mechanics underneath him. But the fact that he was able to get to the free throw line more shows that he's starting to get a confidence in himself, and he's starting to become a bit more aggressive. My issue is, if it takes 19 free throws for you to have such a breakout game, then I'm really curious to see how that's going to impact him, because in this one game, which was his best game of the season, he took the most free throws. So moving forward, it's going to be something to follow. But this really stems from the bigger talker point of this video, right? Which would be Kyrie Irving. Having Kyrie Irving on the team is something that I noted before the season started. I always felt that Kyrie Irving is a polarizing player, yes, but he was a big part of this Nets team's success. This Nets team is not good at rebounding, and their interior defense has been pretty bad, and the perimeter defense also has not been that great. So when you add in all of those elements, this is a team that was built for James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. When you're eliminating Kyrie from that situation, the team is down a key shot creator. The off-ball movement that Kyrie provided for the Brooklyn Nets is also missing. And now you're putting more pressure on James Harden and Kevin Durant to have to play at an MVP level to carry this team. Something else that Kyrie provides to the Brooklyn Nets is a sense of unpredictability in his game because of the variety of shots he takes on the team, coupled with how efficient he is at taking and making those shots in the flow of the Brooklyn offense. It takes their offense to another level, to the point where it can actually mask what their deficiencies are, because this is not a new thing. We always knew that the Brooklyn Nets couldn't rebound. They couldn't play phenomenal defense all the time. So because of that, losing that element in Kyrie makes those weaknesses pop up even more glaringly. That's why he's so valuable to the team. I do believe this Nets team will get into a rhythm and be able to change their fates based on the way that they're playing basketball right now. But when you're looking at the rest of the conference and the way that they are competing right now, it's clear that Kyrie Irving is essential if this team is going to win an NBA championship this season. James Harden is always going to be an impactful basketball player. I just feel like he needs to get healthy and get his confidence, but more importantly, get his rhythm back. Because again, James Harden is more than anything a rhythm player. So it's going to take time. It's going to take reps. It's not going to always look good. But my prediction officially in this video is that James Harden will return to form later on in the season. But I have to also be clear about this. Without Kyrie Irving, I do not believe the Nets are going to be able to win a championship for all the reasons that I've highlighted already in this video. Let me know how y'all feel about James Harden. Do you think he's compromised? Do you think he's washed? What do you think it is? I personally think that it's a 50-50 balance between the free throws affecting him and his overall health, because the health is impacting his burst to the basket, which could result in more free throws. But yeah, let me know. It's going to be curious to see how this Nets team performs in these next couple weeks. A trade might be on the way with Kyrie. We don't know what's going to happen, but we'll see. And I'll be here to document it for sure. So again, make sure you like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.